If you turn your attention to the sensation of your body, you will only find pure being, pure presence. The object of your perception is not separate from your perception. And as you look for the object of your perception, you find objectless beingness. Notice that whatever your experience is in this very moment, whether it's thinking, sensing, feeling, perceiving, there is no separate anything in your experience. The thought and the knowing of the thought and the knower of the thought are one. The sound of the fan, the hearing of the fan, and that which hears are one. These words that you hear, the hearing and the hearer, are one. The thought of tomorrow, the knowingness of that thought, and that which knows the thought are one. In Christian terms, or in religious terms, we say God appearing as a thought or a perception or a sensation, appearing out of itself to itself, never leaving itself, never becoming anything outside of itself, never ceasing to be itself, never ceasing to know itself. It knows itself as itself, and it knows itself as its creation. In its creation, it knows itself as its creation. And in itself, it knows itself as itself. There is only one I, only one reality. The belief that there is a me and an external reality is a belief in dual realities. The personal reality and God's truth. In separating ourselves from God's truth, we experience a sense of limitation and the sense of incompleteness. We perceive an external world and an internal self. And we experience that there is something at stake. And in our life, we live protecting, defending, and seeking, pursuing. Notice that the peace that is this very moment does not necessitate any defending or any seeking. It is effortlessly there. It is what the Buddhists refer to as our true nature, our infinite nature, the mind of God. In this mind, the mind of God, we are one. There is no better or worse. There is no good and bad. It's just the ocean of love, peace, wisdom and freedom, joy. What in Sanskrit we refer to as Ananda, the bliss of the self, our true nature, which is inseparable, non-separate, non-dual. And upon this peace, upon this transparency of being, out of old habit, out of inherited belief, we add on me and my concerns, me and my story, me and my past and my future. We add on onto this blissful screen of awareness. We add on, I am born, and of course, I am going to die. The unhappiness of this belief in personal self that is bound by time and space. Time being thought and space being perception. Bound by thought and perception. Feeling happy when thoughts are happy and feeling miserable when thoughts are miserable. Feeling fulfilled when the world is abundant and feeling completely deprived when the abundance ceases. Like a cork on top of the wave. We go up one moment and down the next. But when you add clouds onto the sky, it in no way disturbs the sky. Even when you add on clouds in the shape of dragons, or clouds in the shape of coffers full of rubies and diamonds, the sky is unaffected, undisturbed, unconcerned. You are that sky. You are that beyond the name of the body and the state of the body, beyond the experiences of the body-mind. You are that sky. You are not defined by the mind, by the events in the world. You are not defined by the thoughts and by the sensations, by the memories, by the actions of that occur in the political world or that occur at your work or in your family. You are not defined by anything. You are that wide open sky of awareness, of presence, of knowingness. That understanding is fully available to you. Nothing is lacking within you for this understanding. Nothing is lacking within you for this understanding. There are no preferred people that have special faculties to understand the I, and others who do not have these faculties. We are all gifted with God's grace. So whatever questions you would like to ask, or comments or clarifications. Any questions? Fernando.
This morning I had the kind of realization.
What, eh?
This morning I felt a kind of realization.
Yes, realization, yes.
And it was just after meditation, I realized that, for instance, my digestion was not generated by me.
Mm-hmm.
That all my digestive system just was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do anything about it. And then I thought about my heart,
Mm-hmm.
it's pumping blood.
Yes.
I said, I'm not doing it. Where is this coming from? All this movement of blood.
Yes.
And I just was scanning my body in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, my eyes are seeing, but I'm not generating that. I'm not even doing that. It just happened. It's seeing. And also, I went to my mind and I said, these thoughts that are coming and going through my brain or through some part of my body,
Yes.
but I'm not. It's not generating them. I was able to just observe them. It's one of my favorite. So my conclusion of this was that I'm not a doer. I was not doing anything. Just things, life was happening through me.
Yes.
And I was just the brilliance of it, that I that you are.
Yes.
That was something that I wanted to share.
Yeah, if I can make a couple of comments about that. So I am not the doer. I, as a personal body mind, as I as a personal character, is not the doer. So in other words, like as you were saying, the body is functioning, and the digestive system obviously is operating, and there isn't. It's not Magdi's doing. It's not like I am doing it. It's happening. So there isn't like a personal doer. But if you consider that as the body is breathing, the heart pumping, the digestive system functioning, it's not nothing. Something is happening. There is something as opposed to nothing. So when we look at perception, for example, we realize that there isn't any personal effort in perceiving. There isn't anybody who's actually personally doing something to perceive, that is perceiving. But at the same time, we cannot deny that I perceive. We cannot deny that I'm aware of the gurgling sounds, of hunger, for example, of what we refer to as hunger. That I am aware of the sound of the brook or the stream or the sound of the wind. I hear that, you see. The question is, what is I? What is that I? We all know that from our conditioning that the I is me. I as me is hearing, me meaning this body-mind character, this body-mind that we have somehow identified with or we feel and think we are. That's what's doing the hearing. So that the body and the mind is doing the hearing. But then you just shared, how could a body hear? How could an object, the body is a very sophisticated object, of course, very advanced object. But still, it is an object, it's a form. How could a form hear? That's an interesting question. How could a form perceive? There has to be something alive that perceives. And a form cannot be alive. Why? Because a form is something perceived. You perceive your body. You perceive your body as bodily sensations and as perceptions. So you perceive an object, but the fact remains that I perceive. What is that I? You see, that's a fascinating question. We cannot deny that there is something. We call it I.
It's a personal life, I, which is like the mind, fasting and questioning things, but there's another I, the self with the capital letter, that's more powerful and more consciousness, awareness that is behind its all questions and perceptions.
It's very simple. In like this very moment, I perceive. In other words, in this moment, there is perception. But this I that perceives and what is perceived, there is, you can't make a line, you cannot draw a line somewhere to say, okay, here is, on this side of the line, is the object that is perceived. And that on the other side of the line is the I that is perceiving. In your simple experience right now, I'm not talking about some philosophical thing, but in our simple experience right now, the I that perceives, because I perceive, we cannot deny that. And what is perceived, there are no lines between them. They're one. So the whole field of perception is permeated with the I, one way of saying it. The entire arena of perception is completely imbued with I that perceives. That they're not two. So it's a fascinating shift in how we usually look at perception. It is a non-localized perception. I'm talking about our experience. I'm not talking about, hey, let's look at the new great philosophical model. I'm just talking about our experience. In our experience, the field of perception, our entire perceptual experience is non-localized. That's the actuality of it. But when we put on the lenses, that say, okay, I am this, I am here, and the world is out there, then the experience is going to be different. The experience will be according to that model of some fixed, defined, very sophisticated perceptual entity and the world of perception. And this perceptual entity, through some powerful, magical makeup within it, perceives that world out there that has been created by a very magnificent God. So that's that model. That's the model of the separate self, you say. In fact, in our experience, I'm emphasizing our experience as opposed to our feelings or our thinking. In our experience, we never experience anything outside of ourselves. We're always experiencing our experience. And our experience is never outside of ourselves. We're never experiencing any perception that's outside of ourselves. We're never experiencing any thought that's outside of ourselves. We're never experiencing any bodily sensation that's outside of ourselves. We're always experiencing our experience. And our experience is intimate with the experiencing of it. In other words, the experiencing and the experience and the experiencer are one dynamics, one. That's actually our experience. So this insight you had was about your experience. It's sort of somehow realize, wait a minute, there isn't a separate doer. There's a separate doer. In fact, doing, the whole concept of doing, of doership, He refers to a subject and an object. Refers to a subject and an object. That in our experience, there isn't a subject, a separate subject and object. Like the computer, for example, is completely made out of our knowingness of it. Outside of our knowingness of it, the computer doesn't have an independent reality. Its reality comes from our knowingness, within our knowingness. Now, you may ask, well, if I'm not looking at the computer now, looking this way, does the computer disappear? Of course not, because it's still appearing in your mind. It's not appearing within this mind, but it's appearing in other minds. So although there is a sharing of minds to a limited extent, because I do not share your private thoughts. You do not share my private thoughts. But we do share right now the perception of this computer or the perception of this table. So there is a shared perceptual realm within the mind. And there is an unshared, non-shared aspect of the mind, like your thoughts or the memories of your mother, which my memories of my mother are different from your memories of your mother. We do not share that. So although there isn't 100% sharing within the mind, that which knows, that which perceives, we share that. In other words, it is the same awareness within, let's say, within this personal mind that is aware of this perception and that is aware of breakfast this morning. It's the same awareness, right? That's on this side. On your side, it is the same awareness that is right now perceiving this perception and that remembers that perceived breakfast. Right? You agree with that? Now you have awareness A and awareness B. But when I look at awareness A, when I look at my awareness, in this moment, when I look at my awareness, I don't find a my to it. I only find awareness. I don't find an owner to awareness. I only find awareness. I don't find a place where awareness starts and awareness ends. Is that your experience too?
So what I understand is that there is just one awareness.
But do you find in your experience right now that awareness does not start somewhere and end somewhere? You do, okay, it's not the same experience here. You don't find that awareness starts somewhere and ends somewhere. So therefore, we cannot call it my awareness or your awareness. We just say awareness. So there's one knowingness, one awareness of all these multiple minds. You see? Because mind is known via awareness. Right? You agree? Thoughts, perceptions, feelings are known via awareness, right? You agree? You all agree? So, but awareness doesn't have an owner, because it's not like a car. My car, is this, your car is that. It's not, it doesn't have a beginning and ending. It doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a size. It doesn't have a viscosity. It doesn't have density. It doesn't have a form. But it's undeniable. Awareness is undeniable. So given that awareness is impersonal, is one awareness. So it's this one awareness that is perceiving all these infinite mind forms, thoughts, perceptions, sensations, memories. You see. And the thing about awareness is really wonderful, is that you cannot kill it. You cannot burn it or tear it apart. There is nothing that comes onto awareness or affects awareness in the way that something can come onto the pyramids and destroy them. You know, I mean, they've lived for many thousands of years, or who knows how many, but sooner or later, in 10 million years, those pyramids will be sand or whatever. But for awareness, that's not the case. Awareness is not something. Yes? And by awareness, you know, we're always referring to, reminding ourselves that awareness, we're referring to I awareness. You see?
How this one awareness appears in a different fashion. Each one in a different
How does a cloud, or how does moisture appear as 20 billion different clouds? How? It gets together and it forms, it forms the shape of an elephant, and it forms the shape of a dragon, and then it forms a, how can silica take the form of 20 billion different shapes of rock? It somehow gets together. And how does consciousness dream all dreams? How do you at night, right? You're one dreamer, right? You go to sleep, you dream maybe 20 people. You may dream 20 people, or you may dream yourself to be 20 different people. How do you do that? You do that every night. Well, more or less, in generally speaking. How do you understand the question? It's so simple. How does a tree, or out of a seed, form a tree with 20 million leaves? It does so. It's within, let's say, the realm of God's creativity. It's infinite. It's infinite.
it expresses in different.
Yes. Yes. We are living proof of that. We're living proof that there are infinite forms, one consciousness. You have to, instead of asking why and thinking about it, you have to come to clarity that experientially within yourself, that consciousness or awareness is universal, is impersonal. The question why will bring you some satisfaction, but it will not bring you the full satisfaction. The full satisfaction to your question will come from your complete clarity that the I, meaning awareness, is not contained within the body, is not inside the brain or inside the body. That in fact, the body appears within awareness. Like this perception appears within awareness. There's spaciousness of awareness. So the body meaning sensation. It's important to contemplate what do we mean by body. the best way to look at the body is not via some theoretical concept, but to look at your experience. What is the body in your experience? The body in your experience, in my experience, you can double check for yourself. In my experience, the body is mostly sensations, bodily sensations. There are images of the body, meaning thought, and perception. I perceive something which I call the body. So the body appears to me, appears to I, appears to awareness as sensation, perception, and thought. Yes? You have to really look at that, be really clear that that's your experience of the body. It appears within awareness. Because if it doesn't appear within awareness, how would you perceive it? How would you perceive a bodily sensation without awareness? Awareness is a key, is sort of the crux of it. So the body is an appearance of, that keeps changing. Just the sensation that I had 4 hours ago when I was mowing the grass, and the sensation I'm having here, I can't compare them, right? One of them was hot and was, noisy and blah, blah. And now it's different sensation, right? So it's a stream of sensations. And in your night dreams, when you go to sleep, in the night state, these sensations shift also. They become more vapor-like, more buoyant. And at some point they dissolve in the deep sleep state. So we usually think of body as sort of, we have a formulaic sort of fixed idea of a body, which is not at all in accordance with our experience. So it's a powerful belief and feeling. We believe and feel in a dense physicality. And so we experience that when we were babies, we didn't experience that, but slowly we have inherited that, that structure, and it's become more and more pronounced in our life as the physicality of the body. Yes? No, yes?
No, my question, how is that as a baby I'm not conscious of myself?
How?
Why is a baby not conscious of myself? As a baby I was not conscious of myself, or a tree.
How is a baby not conscious of itself? Well, so a baby is sort of an amalgam of sensual experiences. That is the senses, eyes and ears, and the baby's experience of the world is an amalgam, a sort of an undifferentiated field of experience. Undifferentiated field of experience. It's all experience. There isn't yet the experience of, it's not defined yet, the tree, the car, and me. It hasn't yet, the ego hasn't yet developed. So it's a diffuse stream of experiences. So there isn't yet the sense of self, of personal self, that has developed in the baby. In time, it will develop. There is a process by which we separate ourselves from, first from our parents, I think, and from mom and Papa, and then we start to develop the sense of me, the personal self. The baby hasn't yet gone through that process. And beyond the personal self, which we all know the personal self, there is the journey goes on to what is the reality of the personal self, meaning to what they refer to as a capital self, as the reality of consciousness. So the baby hasn't yet traveled that journey. You see, we are traveling this journey. Now we already have the ego established, the me, sense of personhood. Now we are contemplating what is the reality of that sense of me. What is the reality? And we're finding that this reality is awareness, that there is something that is not personal, that there is a self, because we cannot deny the I. We're never denying I. We are looking at what is this I, in fact, what is the reality of the I. You see, that's really what these meetings are about. What is the reality of the I? It's not about denying the I, or yes.
Yeah, for me, some mystery is why is it that if conscious, all that is manifested depends on consciousness. It's the consciousness manifesting in different forms.
Yes.
Why is it then that my brain needs some physical changes in order to be conscious of myself?
Why is your brain need to
change? Yeah, because as a baby, as I grow as a human being, my brain starts changing and
everything changes.
And my brain suddenly, 5 years and suddenly, I'm aware.
Yes.
Why is it? That the consciousness, the baby itself, my body, right? It's an expression of that consciousn's.
Yes.
Then to be conscious, I still depends on my physical change.
Yes. You see, the body, is conscious. There is, it's not a dead body. Body is conscious, but it's not yet self-conscious. You see. So you're conscious of the brain's, not just the brain, the entire organism, and not just the organism, but the entire realm, which you want to call it the baby's realm, there is a consciousness within it, but it hasn't yet arrived to self-consciousness. The journey to self-consciousness has to first go through the evolution to the ego. You have to come to the ego. And from the ego to the self, to being knowingly conscious, being self-conscious. When I say self-conscious, I don't mean it like in the sense we use it sometimes, like where I'm self-conscious of what people think of me, or I'm self-conscious of my own images. I'm talking about being knowingly conscious, being consciousless knowingly. That's what I mean by that. I don't know the answer to your question why, because I think the question why is just some sort of journey into thinking. And it's not really that helpful to know why. That's just my experience. I'm not saying it's not helpful to you. I'm just, speaking out loud. It's more helpful to understand where you're at and to understand what are the questions that we are looking at. The baby's senses, the baby's organism is perfect. Perceives, hears, senses, but it's all diffused in that the senses of perceiving the mother, perceiving the car, perceiving the tree, perceiving their feet, as they put their feet, they're looking at their feet, is all one perceptual field with different shapes and different sensations. It's not differentiated yet. So the brain is, at that stage hasn't yet become an instrument of differentiation. But in time, it will, alongside everything else, the body will start to shift and change. You will arrive to the state of differentiation, where you say, "This is mine, not yours." When we are kids, how we are fighting. This is mine, not yours, not yours. This is the state of differentiation that goes on and on and on, and it gets, the sense of the ego gets well established. And that's what I think they talk about, a healthy ego. In therapy, they say it's important to have a healthy ego, meaning your ego state is important to have, to differentiate, to be differentiated is an important part of the process. What comes with the sense of the ego, of course, as we all know, is the unhappiness. And so that's when the unhappiness comes, and the unhappiness is sort of is inviting you. It's inviting you to higher contemplation, the contemplation of, darn, what is happiness? What is love? What is beauty? Because from a differentiated state, we experience beauty, love, and happiness as a personal experience. And when we are experiencing personal happiness, it's not a universal happiness. It doesn't work. It lasts. It doesn't have a longevity. It will fail on us, and we'll be trying to find a new way around it. You see? And we'll try many, many different ways, but sooner or later, we arrive to some sort of dead end. And then we are starting to ask, well, what's going on? What is going on? So what's really happening here? What's happening?
Hey, Magdi, can you hear me? I'm on the call.
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Yes.
My name is Sunita, and I think I have asked you questions before. I usually attend your online satsangs.
Yes.
My question is on the motivation factor, the immense drive and the motivation that the ego had, or the healthy ego that you mentioned had. And I'll just explain what's happening, so it's easy for me to talk with respect to experiences which is going on. So from the I oscillate a lot between the separate self and the true self, and but there is a lot of decline in the motivation factor, things that was really motivating my separate self before. And when I move into the true self, there is no question of motivation. I mean, the questioner himself has died, or slowly the questioner is himself dissolving. And in the true self, of course, it just comes into what's happening right now, and there is beauty in it, and there is free flow and so on. Nevertheless, I again get back to the separate self, and there is a constant toggle that's happening, because somewhere I think my separate self is not is still holding on to the motivation factor for my, like, just my day-to-day going to work and so on. It's somewhere grasping, and of course that grasping is actually coming with a lot of effort. Before, that grasping would just happen without my knowledge. But whenever the grasping happens, even for motivation, it's a lot of contraction that happens, like physical contraction. Like I can feel it, that it's not the effortless way. Right. So nevertheless, my mind is not able to understand, like, what happens to the there is this unknown factor that is there, that if I let go, what happens, because everything feels nice and easy and effortless in the true self. But there's a question on the motivation, like what would drive me, what should I do? And of course, when I ask the question is there, but when I go back to the true self, that question goes away, like there's no question. But nevertheless, I keep toggling, and I don't know what I should do. Like it's difficult to ask you the question what I should do, but
right, I understand.
What is the concept? Like, yeah.
Yes. So okay. So motivation has its place in the world. It has, you need to take care of food, shelter, and clothing. There are certain practical responsibilities and practical decisions you've already made, and certain situations that you're already involved in and committed to. And so there is a whole dynamic going on there of turning your attention towards certain aspects of the work, and you have certain expenses that you want to meet, and you have some plans to maybe purchase or fix your property or whatever it is. So there is some attention that is needed in that direction. And what is the problem with that?
So what's happening is somewhere like when I have to go to work and when I'm doing the work, unknowingly there's an effort that comes in, there's a grasping that happens because it's not in the true self.
Okay.
That literally tires me out, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like because off late I'm feeling that there is so much effort involved in holding on to even motivation, but at the same time, when there is no motivation, it's the fear of unknown. Like
right. I understand. Yeah. So if you are getting exhausted and feeling the strain of that, then that's, you need to be looking at that. So I would say that because we are conditioned, you see, we are all conditioned from our families, from our culture, from whatever, the entire conditioning around. We need to find for ourselves a balance, a way that works, that is not exhausting. Okay, it's okay that sometime, you know, you're exhausted one day a week or something, but if it's recurring very regularly during your work life and your daily activities, I would have a closer look at that. Now, it is sometimes challenging to go against your conditioning, because if your conditioning is go, and now you're finding that you're exhausting, there is a cost to that, and it keeps you wrapped up in being tired, and you're wondering if you're on the right path. You have to trust. You have to put some trust in, let me say, in God. That there is a greater reality than the mind. Of course, the mind is functioning according to its conditioning, and it's doing its best. But there are experiences of unhappiness and tiredness and exhaustion that are also messages from God. They are telling you, wait a minute, take it easy. You know, watch out here. I'm pinching you because you are going too much in a certain direction. Maybe you need to slow down, or need to look into another direction. There is a saying that, whenever we are contemplating God, we take a step towards God, God takes 10 steps towards us. It's very difficult for the mind to accept that, because the mind saying, I am the doer. What are you talking about? God is just my creation. I create God as the great guy up in heaven, you see. So the mind resists that. But you have to go deeper than the mind. If you go into your heart and trust your heart, you will find that your heart loves tranquility, peace, happiness, likes activities, likes to be responsible, likes to take on responsibility and behaving responsibly and dharmically, but does not like to be exhausted and to be pursuing and fighting. So I remember, I think it was, Francis Lucille, who I work quite a bit with, who was saying that in work, we should not be working more than, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 hours a day. I know. And here in our culture, we work 15 hours a day. Please don't tell me I know about it. I've been there, done that. But this is a sage speaking. Saying and if you must work a lot, then you work a lot only for a short period of time, and then you have some time off out of that.
Yeah, I think Magdi, for me, I think the work, it's like the same work was being done before, and it was not tiring. And off late, so that is where that is where the difficulty to understand also is. The work hasn't changed, and there is no stress or anything. Just the realization of the true self has now somehow made day to day, like the personal will, any kind of motivation that was even driving me has just like slowly collapsing, and to hold on to it takes so much effort, and that tires me again.
You need to listen to that. This is consciousness speaking to you now, pointing out to you, that you need to listen to that, take it in account, see what you can do about honoring that. And since you are interested in awakening to your true nature, that you will find that you'll be inclined to spend more and more time doing that, attending retreats, doing your own contemplations, reading the scriptures, whichever way it appears to you. So it's a good thing, and I would not ask myself, "Oh my God, what's wrong? What's happening? What's wrong with me?" Instead, I would listen to these messages that consciousness is sending me, and see how, whichever way I can, work this through in my life. Simplify the work schedule, simplify the load in my mind, and simplify maybe even the lifestyle, maybe that I'm entertaining. Because oftentimes we assume our happiness in the world, that our happiness will come with a successful career, successful family, etc. But that's not the true message. The true message is that our happiness does not depend on world, body, mind. It is the contemplation of the self and awakening to the self and knowing your true self that is happiness, that reveals the true and eternal happiness. So it's a good thing that these questions are arising for you, and open yourself up to that and see how you may not see immediately what are the decisions to make. It may happen to you in small steps, and it's okay. In the long run, this message will take you in the right direction. I know that was the case for me. I was also, first generation immigrant to this country, and I had the regular conditioning. So, yes, above all, don't sacrifice your contemplation of truth. And also, if it's possible for you to contemplate that in everything that you're experiencing, your primary experience is that of awareness. Even these conflicting feelings and thoughts that are arising for you, they point directly to awareness. Keep returning to that, to the knowingness, to the transparency of being, to the presence, to the effortless awareness that is there, irrespective of what images are appearing on the screen. You will find that it will also guide you in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Yes. What is the purpose of the journey into separation? You know, so the journey we go from being a mind that is sort of a mind of diffuse experiences to a mind of personal experiences. And through that journey, we experience ourselves as a personal self, a personal body mind, and we seek happiness. Somehow happiness is as the core of our being. And as a personal self, the happiness that we are, peace and happiness that we are, the wisdom of the self that we are, is enveloped with the sense of personal doership and personal effort and striving and becoming a better person or whatever. You know, it varies from body mind to body mind, and so because of that veiling of our true nature, we pursue our personal ambition in the world body mind. So the sense of separation veils our true nature and leads us into pursuing our true nature in the world, in experiences, in objects, in relationships, situations, etc. And that fails. You know, sooner or later we turn around, and then we go back into the exploration of the veils of what is between me and true peace, and we start contemplating that, and so then we come to the contemplation of what is the me, what is the I that is, you know, that is part of this entire play. Obviously there is a body mind that is, you know, part of the play, which is, when you look at the body mind, you will find that it's a bundle of veils, of stories, of beliefs, of memories, of opinions, of whatever, traumas, whatever you call them. And then you find that the me, that entire structure, is not the only player. That there is another player out there, there's a big time player, which is awareness, which is I, in order for I differentiate between I and me, which is I awareness, that there is God's mind, or the light of being. There are many ways of speaking it, but then you realize, wow, you know, and that is when that's the return journey, the journey of returning to the pure, our true nature, our infinite self. Is this encounter, this discovery that there is awareness, and awareness is somehow reality that never is not there. It's always awareness. Even when I'm out for a walk, or when I'm swimming, or when I'm feeling awful. Awareness is there, and that's this awareness isn't unhappy when the body mind is unhappy, or is not happy when the body mind is happy. It is happiness itself. It is not subject to any conditions. It's not subject to any experience, to any relationship, to any that it is not in the realm of body mind. It's not in the realm of winning and losing the lottery. It is not in the phenomenal realm. And the contemplation will lead you to realize that this awareness is I right now, that which is the isness, the beingness, that in Sanskrit there is a sat, the sat, are you familiar with Satchitananda? Yeah, the sat is a beingness, and the chit is awareness, that there is I am, and I am aware. I know that I am, and I am aware that I'm aware. You come to the Satchitananda, and that contemplation. First, you understand it. You realize, oh wow, yeah, I get it. I get it. But then there is within the feeling level, we still haven't gotten it. We can get it, but then somebody cuts us across in the highway, and we want to do something really bad to them because they cut us off on the highway. You see? Because at the feeling level, there is also the getting it. So the getting it has two aspects of it. One of them is the understanding, and then the embodiment. Sort of the understanding has to permeate your entire feeling level, feeling state. In terms of the purpose, it's its own purpose. There is no purpose outside of consciousness. Consciousness is its own purpose for itself. There isn't an external reality. There is nothing outside of presence, of awareness, of God's light that to which the purpose relates. You say, within oneness, within wholeness, there is no purpose. So in the absolute way of answering your question, there is no purpose. There's no purpose. Your question is not a question because there is no purpose. You're asking about Santa Claus. There is no purpose. At the same time, from a relative perspective, I could say, the purpose is to awaken to your true nature. And then you may ask, I got that, but then, if my true nature is already my true nature, what is the purpose of forgetting itself and coming back to itself? And then, because in fact, the true answer is there's no purpose. The whole question is not a question. But since we are in this relative sort of conversation, I would say, God loves to play. She loves to play. But again, it's just a convenient answer to this question at this point in time. And it's not really speaking the absolute truth, because we are God. We are God. So we're talking about God and about God's freedom as if it's something outside of ourselves. You see, this is what's really weird about it, is that we're talking about it, but we're it. But we have to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, and I'm talking about a deep reasoning into it, the sense of separation remains. Although the sense of separation is illusory, it's still not a happy dream. You see, what's the point? I mean, and the fact is, we can't stand a happy dream. This is why we're here. We're here because we know that that dream is unhappy and that there is such a thing as happiness. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. We would be resigned to. And there are a lot of cases like that. People resign to, to how things are, and people say things are as they are, then that's good enough for me. Others say, well, there is no self and that's good enough for me, whatever, you know. But we're here, and it's a paradox. We're it, and at the same time we're here because we want to know it, you know. And that's a journey, that's, you know, that's a conversation. So in a way, like I remember Francis talking about that satsang is a dream conversation. In fact, we're having a dream conversation right now because we're talking about waking up from dream to realize that what I am, but I already am I. You know, you've never not been anything else than I. Even though you dreamed a million times that you were Santa Claus or that you were the Tooth Fairy or you were Goliath or David, whatever, even though you dreamt all of that, or in spite of all your dreams, you remain I. There's only one I. You've never referred to yourself in any other way than I. You never said he when you're referring to I. You always refer to I as I. And everybody refers to I as I. It's only one I. The question is, what is this I? You see, what's this I? So it's the best I can do with your question because at its core, it's not really a question. Because you know you are, you know what you are. You know what you are, and you know that what you are is not something. Because things are things that you perceive. You perceive the oak tree, but you're not the oak tree. So you cannot be something. You know what you are. You know what you are deep down in your being. You know what you are. Being knows itself because being and knowing are sides, two sides of the one hand. See, I know I am. You see, I know I am is universal. I mean, we don't think about it, but when you ask yourself, you know, am I? Yes, of course I am. And do I know that I am? Yes, of course I know that I am. Or do I know that I'm aware? Yes, I know I'm aware. Yes. What is it that knows that it's aware? It's a good question. I mean, because, you know, we all know we're aware, right? I'm aware. What is it that knows that it's aware? It's a good question. Obviously, it's I, but what is this I that knows that it's aware? What is it? Awareness. Awareness. Awareness knows that I'm aware. It's like, it's so rudimentary. Of course, awareness is aware that it's aware because it's made out of awareness. Think of awareness as scintillating particles of self-knowing, scintillating particles of knowingness, meaning every particle within awareness is knowing. The particles of knowingness, they're knowingness. So what is it that knows? Awareness is knowingness. I am knowing. Awareness is knowing. Awareness is aware. I mean, it's fabric. It's makeup. The makeup of awareness is awareness. See? I am aware. Only thing that is aware is awareness. I am awareness, aware that it's aware. It's a long sentence to say Satchitananda. I is beingness, awareness. Beingness, awareness. You've never been anything else. Baby body appeared to you, 5-year-old boy appeared to you, experiences, your mom, your whatever, your family, your school, all they appear to you. To you, I, awareness, beingness, appear to you. But there is a journey, you know, as we're talking, you know, there's a journey through the egoic state to the contemplation that we are having now.
awareness.
Yes.
The baby doesn't know.
Right. Doesn't know itself.
So separate,
Yes.
you know, not perfectly separate. You can't have the problem.
Absolutely.
And then it knows it.
Yes. First, it
That seems like
yes, you could say that's the purpose. It separates itself.
because it's not just unknown.
Ye- Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could say that. That's another, another approach to it. That basically, the purpose of it is for the undifferentiated field of experience to become personalized, and now I know myself as this body mind, this personal body mind, and the world is out there, and then the next phase of the journey, because it doesn't bring you to the peace, is to know myself as the peace. But again, it's all this is in a way, it's may satisfy the mind temporarily, but it's not going to really satisfy the heart.
Why did the illusion of separation come to be?
Yeah. Why did the illusion of separation come to be?
Yeah, and that journey between the undifferentiated recognition of Satchit and like that intermediate stage.
Yes.
Of veils and forgetting.
Yes.
Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. There is no answer to the why question. And if there was an answer to the why question, it would satisfy the mind temporarily. Another question will arise, and why, it will question the answer to that why. You say, if I tell you it's because God loves to play, then you can say, well, why does God love to play? Well, because God is complete freedom. Well, if God is complete freedom, why is God not choosing us to be free right from the? Yeah, there's so.
I mean, honestly,
yeah,
the responsive play is satisfying.
Yeah. But it's also, it will satisfy the mind, but temporarily. It won't, because at some point or the other, the why question can be satisfied except by seeing that it's not a question that it's not a real question. Does the mind want freedom? Well, depends what you mean by the mind. Spin. The mind wants to spin. Yeah. 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 You could say the mind is activity. Yeah. Yeah.
It wants to survive whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Well, it can't because it doesn't want to. It will not survive if it answers the questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including try to help us.
The mind refers to a person. So it's like a personal mind. Okay? There is a personal mind, of course. There is the mind beyond the person. There is a shared mind that is beyond the personal mind. For example, like we all share New York City. It's not in our particular mind, but there is a mind beyond our personal mind. Yeah, and the mind refers to the sense of personal self. One could say that within the the mind, within personal mind, and within the global mind, there is an interest in truth. There is an interest in happiness. From the personal perspective, the focus is external. And so the mind is very active, trying to find the way, which is the best partner, which is the best job, which is the best whatever. But at the same time, the mind can recognize that it's not getting it. You know, like the question that, sorry, Suniti, maybe I'm misspelling your name.
Yes, Sunita, yeah.
Sunita, sorry. You know, was raising that sometime within the mind there is, you start to see that, okay, wait a minute, it's not working. You see? And in fact, even right now we're sitting here and the mind is present, meaning, you know, we are here both as awareness, and also there is a personal interest, let's say, a personal interest, which is the mind. And an interest not in, as you were saying, just keep spinning. It's interested in the end of the spin. But the way the mind comes to the end of the spin is via its death. It has to die, you see. So it is interested in its ending, but who would be interested in its ending? At the same time, it's not interested in its ending. So it's both. So it is coerced. It is sort of not coerced. Seduced. It is seduced in satsang. It is seduced to come to its own ending because it is available. It is available for its ending. Because if it's not available to its ending, how would it end? It will never end. There has to be a point where it's available for its ending, to its ending. There comes a point where it says, yeah, I'm jumping off that cliff. So yes, in what you said, Jeff, the mind mostly is spin, meaning it's outward. But at some point or the other, it turns inward.
Here, conditions are such that the interest in it is natural. It's interesting. It doesn't feel like a lot of effort is spent.
Yeah, but
To be present.
yeah, but right,
Want presence.
right. But some effort was needed for you to come here. Yes. Right.
And just the tendency not to pay attention. And the mind, it doesn't matter. Any
Yes.
object, just move, or just to disappear into like an internal conversation.
Yes. Yes.
And taking outside
Yes.
of a more present experience. The mind,
Yes.
personal mind,
Yes.
the spinning
Yes.
experience versus
Right.
personal
But also, you know, during your daily life when the mind is sort of, you know, spinning or just moving away from presence, there can be, I'm not saying there always is, but there can be a noticing of the unhappiness of that. And that noticing is an important part of the mind's journey towards God. Noticing that, darn, you know, it's not happy. The spinning is not happy. And most of the spinning is about avoiding its ending, because the spinning maintains the mind. It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't want to. But although it doesn't want to end, and wants to continue spinning, unhappiness arises and tells it, okay, hey, yeah, you're spinning, but here's unhappiness. And then the mind will say, well, I'm going to spin faster, and then the unhappiness will triple. And then the mind will say, well, I'm gonna triple my spin, and then unhappiness will quintuple. 15 times, is that quintuple? Well, 15. Well, it can't win.
So suffering.
Absolutely, that's a good question. Suffering has a purpose. Suffering has a great purpose. Who among us here who hasn't suffered? Isn't here? We all know it. We've all gone through the.
So
Yes.
there's a complete novice here. You get into this. It seems to me that it's like there's a force that our whole lives we fight physical force of gravity. And we sometimes, when you're sleeping, you surrender to it and there's peace. Also, we want to soar, fly above in the face of gravity, but there's always a coming back down. What's that sign and that type of thing? Is one trying to reach the perpetual flight and never touching down again? Or is it?
That's a beautiful metaphor. Very beautiful metaphor. Yes, I like that. Yes, I like that. That gravity is constantly, keeping you, in the earth. Yes. So you could say that once we start to contemplate beyond the ego, like what is this me, and what is the reality? What is it that's real, in my experience? So now we're going on the other edge of the ego. We're starting to explore beyond the ego. You could say that you're starting to power up, and your contemplation is gonna keep, you're gonna remain within the gravitational field of the atmosphere. But at some point in your contemplation, you will come to a point where the gravitational field and the outer space, you come to the 0 point, and then you're in. Yes, a good metaphor. Yes, it is. It's a good metaphor.
Are we seeking an arrival point where one is continually blissful? That doesn't seem possible to me.
Yes. The question is, are we trying to reach a point where we are continuously blissful? I wouldn't say it like that. I would say there is an understanding that is available that reveals to you experientially that you are the bliss of the self. Not that you are blissful, that you are the bliss of the self. I'm making this distinction because in the expression, are we trying to be eternally blissful? There is still the I, the me, and the bliss. There is still the person and the state of blissfulness. I am not talking about a state of bliss, because states are limited. They're realms. They have conditions upon them, time and space conditions. I'm talking about the recognition of what we truly are. Recognition that the I that right now, the reality that right now hears these words is not male or female. That what hears right now, what perceives right now is not male or female. what perceives is transparent. There is no denying perception in this moment. You cannot deny it. It's happening. But it's turning your attention away from the belief that, oh, it's a male body form that is perceiving, to the actual experience, the immediate experience right now of something transparent to perception. That there is, it's as if there is a transparency, a perceiving transparency in a way. It's difficult to speak about it. It's as if I'm perceiving, but what's perceiving is sort of transparent. It's like the whole space is perceiving itself in a way. I'm talking about in our experience right now. So it's very different from attaining bliss. It's more coming true or becoming true to our experience. And to become true to our experience, we have to contemplate our belief structures, because our belief structures, like when we believed the earth was flat, we actually experienced, this is a silly example, but if you believe that there is, your door is closed, that there is somebody hiding behind the door, you will feel that. You will feel that somebody who wants to do you harm or do harm to your family. You will feel that, let's say. So the contemplation of our beliefs is very important. It's not about like trying to become blissful. Our true nature is bliss itself, but that's aside. We all inherit beliefs because it's sort of become a humanity is based on beliefs. Where babies are born and they immediately are indoctrinated the whole set of beliefs. I mean, from your aunts, from your teachers, and they're subtle. You don't realize them. They're subtle, and in a way, it's inevitable because that's how the game is being played. So it will lead you to believing that you are a male body mind. We all believe, I'm a male, a female, but we all believe. That's the egoic state. It's unavoidable. That's how the game is played. But it's important for you to understand that there is a journey beyond that. In other words, the journey doesn't end with, okay, yeah, I'm a man, I'm going to be successful and have a great, career, blah, blah, blah. That's not the end of the journey. That's the egoic phase of the journey. The journey doesn't end there, you say. It's not just about getting a great job and having a lot of money and then dying. That's not the journey, you see. There's beyond that. There's beyond that, which is the contemplation of, wait a minute, the I that perceives right now, the reality that perceives right now, is that reality male or female? Neither. Yeah. Can I deny a reality that perceives? I could deny the perception, because one way I could deny the perception is that it could be. It's a possibility, maybe 1 in a trillion is a possibility that this perception is illusion. And that in fact, I am right now sleeping on planet X89. I'm sleeping and I'm dreaming this dream. And I'm dreaming that I am sitting here speaking. It could be 1 in a trillion, right? It could be. But although this could be a dream, meaning this perception could be a dream, there is a reality to the dream. The reality of the dream is not its content, but there is a reality to the dream. So the reality that is dreaming this dream, that is perceiving this perception, is that male or female? It's neither male nor female. Can we deny it? No, we cannot deny it. So now we are moving into a question that is different from, hey, I'm Magdi, you know, how can I get that raise next week? You know? It's a very different question. How can I get a better car? How can I make my family happier? It's a different question. I'm looking at, wait a minute, is this real? What is the reality of this experience? What is the reality of this moment? And this contemplation, this questioning is looking at what am I? What am I meaning? Not what is the body? Because the body, you know, you open a science book, a biology book, and you open a science book, and they'll tell you about the body. That's not what we're asking. We're asking, what am I? It's a different question from, you know, when was this body born? This body born, you go to your passport, whatever you go, and it's a different question. Question is, what is the reality that perceives? What is the reality of that? Let's say. And why are we asking this question? Because there is something rather than nothing. There is something, you know, rather than nothing. And this something is I. I. We spent so much time studying the acorn and the rabbits, much more than we've spent contemplating, what am I? What is the reality? So once you come to, okay, whatever perceives right now is undeniable. Whatever perceives right now is neither male nor female, nor tall nor short, nor up or down, or east or west. And the next thing is to realize that what perceives is what we call I. And if you put two and two together, what you just said is I am neither male or female. I am neither tall or short. I am neither located here or there. You just said that. And even with, you know, that's revolutionary. That's within myself, it's revolutionary. And it makes me stop and ponder, wait a minute. What's the flaw in there? And if you find a flaw, we need to look at it. Because those questions that we're posing, they have to be foolproof. Is that the expression? Foolproof. They have to withstand the test of inquiry. Because I wouldn't be interested in a new belief. Yes, that's not, you know, you replace belief A with belief B. That's not what I'm talking about. I am not interested in new belief. I'm looking at truth. Is it true that I perceive it now? Yes. Is it true that that which perceives has no form? I need to look at that. Has no form. That which perceives has no form. I need to look at that. So I take a look. Take a look. Take a look. That which perceives has no form. Take a look. You just stay with that. You just stay with that. Just stay with that. Just, that which perceives has no form. And it's I that perceives has no form. Just to stay with that. And then you say, well, what's truth for me is truth for somebody else. So in other words, what applies to me applies to anybody else. I that perceives has no form. Anyways, there are many other questions, many other ways of looking and contemplating. That's why we come together in satsang. There are so many questions that are raised that invite us to decorticate. Is that an English word? To peel the onion, to to look and to inquire. And they all come together, you know, all these questions that we pose, they come together because they're looking from different angles to the same. Okay, well, thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. Thank you for being in satsang. And online, thank you all. Lovely to be with you, Emmanuel, Susham, Maria Han, hola Maria, Zoe.
Thank you, Magdi.
I don't know who else. Okay, all right. See you soon.